Pay attention to this dashboard camera footage. November 22nd, 2024, 11:47 p.m. A parking lot behind an abandoned warehouse. Empty. Dark. No witnesses for miles. Inside a gray Toyota Camry, a camera mounted on the dashboard captures exactly 2 minutes and 14 seconds of footage that will become the most critical evidence in a murder investigation. You see a young woman in the passenger seat, 24 years old, white waitress uniform, stained from a long shift serving coffee and scrambled eggs to truckers and insomniacs. Her hands are tied behind her back with yellow nylon rope, the kind you can buy at any hardware store for $4.99. A man sits in the driver's seat, 46 years old, baseball cap pulled low over his face, dark jacket. He's leaning toward her from the left side, slowly, deliberately, moving closer to her neck. She turns her head away, pressing her cheek against the cold passenger window, trying to create distance, trying to escape. But there's nowhere to go. The rope keeps her trapped. You can see tears streaming down her face, catching the dim glow from the dashboard lights. Her mouth is moving. She's saying something, begging, pleading. At 11:49 p.m., the screen goes black. The camera's battery died. Motion-activated systems only record for so long. 48 hours later, a jogger finds her body in the woods off Route 9, half buried under a pile of wet leaves and broken branches. She's still wearing that white waitress uniform. Her hands are still bound with the same yellow rope. The man who promised to keep her safe, who told her he'd always look out for her, who drove her home dozens of times over 8 months, was the one who killed her. She trusted him, and that trust cost her everything. Before we go any further, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. If you believe people deserve to work without fear, hit that subscribe button. Predators like the man in this story count on silence. Don't give them that power. Her name was Jessica Morales, 24 years old, single mother to a 3-year-old daughter named Emma. Worked the overnight shift at Riverside Diner, a 24-hour truck stop just off Interstate 64 in Virginia. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 4 nights a week. The shift nobody wanted because it meant working alone with just one cook and maybe a dishwasher when they bothered to show up. But it paid $2 more per hour, and Jessica needed every single dollar. His name was Marcus Brandt, 46 years old, line cook at the same diner. Been there for 11 years. Quiet guy. Kept to himself mostly. No criminal record. No history of violence. The kind of person you'd pass on the street and never think twice about. Everyone who worked with him said the same thing. Harmless. Reliable. A little odd, maybe, but harmless. But over the course of 8 months, something changed. Or maybe it didn't change. Maybe it was always there, hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. 3 questions will haunt this case. Why did a trusted co-worker suddenly become a killer? What did Jessica do or say that made her his target? And how did a $4 rope and a dying camera battery expose the truth that everyone missed? By the end of this story, you'll understand how someone you see every single day, someone you trust, someone you consider a friend, can hide the darkest intentions. And you'll learn the warning signs that Jessica missed, the signs that could save your life. February 19th, 2024, 9 months before the murder. Jessica Morales pulls into Riverside, Virginia, driving a beat-up Honda Civic with a cracked windshield and 200,000 miles on the odometer. She's running from Pittsburgh. Bad relationship. No family support. Just her and Emma, who's sitting in the back seat, clutching a stuffed dinosaur and asking when they're going to stop for chicken nuggets. Jessica has $300 in her checking account, and exactly 1 week before rent is due on the tiny studio apartment she found on Craigslist. She needs work immediately. That same day, she walks into Riverside Diner, fills out an application in blue pen with handwriting that slopes slightly to the right, and hands it to the manager, a tired-looking woman named Carol, who's been running the place for 20 years. Carol looks at the application, sees the gaps in employment, sees single mother listed under emergency contact information. Carol knows that look, the desperation, the exhaustion, the need for someone to just give you a chance. Carol asks one question: "Can you work overnights?" 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Jessica hesitates. That means leaving Emma with a babysitter all night. That means sleeping during the day when Emma is at daycare, never seeing sunlight, living in a constant state of exhaustion. But it pays $2 more per hour, $16 instead of $14. That's an extra $80 a week, $320 a month, enough to cover groceries and gas, enough to keep Emma fed. "Yes," Jessica says, "I can start tomorrow." February 20th, 2024. Jessica's first shift, 10 p.m. The diner is almost empty, a couple of truckers nursing coffee at the counter, an elderly man in the corner booth eating a slice of apple pie. Jessica walks into the kitchen to grab an order and meets the overnight crew. 2 other waitresses, both in their early 20s. One dishwasher, a kid named Danny who looks like he's barely 18, and Marcus Brandt, line cook, 46 years old, graying hair, weathered face, quiet. He's standing at the grill, flipping burgers, not saying much. But he notices Jessica immediately, not in an obvious way, not staring or making comments, just watching. When she's taking orders, when she's refilling the coffee pot, when she's wiping down tables at 3 in the morning, when the place is dead and there's nothing to do but clean. Jessica doesn't notice. She's too focused on surviving the shift, learning where everything is, trying not to mess up, trying to prove she belongs there. Around 4 a.m. during her break, Marcus makes her a burger without asking. Extra pickles. She'd mentioned earlier that she liked pickles. Just in passing, a casual comment. But Marcus remembered. He slides the plate across the counter. "Thanks," Jessica says, surprised. "You didn't have to do that." "No problem, sweetheart," Marcus says. His voice is soft, almost gentle. Over the next few weeks, this becomes routine. Marcus helping out, taking out the heavy trash bags when Jessica struggles with them, making her meals during her breaks, calling her sweetheart or hon in that same soft voice. Jessica appreciates it. Overnight shifts are lonely, exhausting. The hours stretch endlessly between 2 and 5 a.m. when nobody comes in and you're just standing there, waiting for the clock to move. Marcus makes it bearable, makes her feel less alone. But there's something else happening, something Jessica doesn't see, something the other waitresses don't mention because they don't want to start drama or lose their jobs or deal with the hassle of making accusations they can't prove. Years later, after everything happened, 2 detectives interviewed 9 former waitresses who'd worked overnight shifts with Marcus over the past 7 years. All young women, all in their 20s or early 30s. Every single one of them reported the same thing. Marcus made them uncomfortable. He stood too close when they were working, stared too long when he thought they weren't looking, offered unsolicited rides home even after they said no the first time, used overly familiar language, calling them sweetheart and hon and baby even after they asked him to stop. But here's the critical detail. He never crossed the legal line, never touched them, never threatened them, never said anything explicitly inappropriate, just hovered, watched, made them feel uneasy in a way they couldn't quite explain or report without sounding paranoid. All 9 of them quit within 6 months. And when Carol asked why, they gave vague excuses. Found another job, moving out of state. School schedule changed. None of them said it was because of Marcus. Because how do you report someone for making you feel uncomfortable when they haven't technically done anything wrong? How do you explain that feeling of being watched, of being studied, of being seen as something other than a coworker? You can't. So they left. And Marcus stayed. And Jessica had no idea. She just knew that Marcus was nice, helpful, harmless, a friend. March 12th, 2024. Jessica's car breaks down, won't start after her shift. Dead battery. It's 6:07 in the morning, and the temperature is 34 degrees. Emma's daycare opens at 7:30, and Jessica is standing in the parking lot, keys in hand, trying not to panic. She doesn't have money for a tow truck. Can't afford to miss work. Can't afford to be late picking up Emma. Marcus walks out of the diner, sees her standing there, and immediately offers to drive her. "I'll take you," he says. "It's no big deal. I pass right by your place anyway." Jessica hesitates. She barely knows him, but it's freezing. She's exhausted. Emma needs to get to daycare, and Marcus has always been nice to her, always looked out for her. "Are you sure?" Jessica asks. "I don't want to inconvenience you." "It's not an inconvenience," Marcus says. "Come on." Jessica accepts. Marcus drives her home in his gray Toyota Camry, drops her off at her apartment building. Doesn't ask to come inside, doesn't make it weird. Just smiles and says, "Anytime you need a ride, let me know." Jessica waves goodbye and heads inside, relieved, grateful, thinking she's lucky to have a coworker like Marcus. But something just shifted. Something changed in that moment, and neither of them realized it yet. Over the next 8 months, this becomes the new routine. Jessica's car stays broken because she can't afford the $1,200 repair the mechanic quoted her. Marcus offers rides 3 to 4 times per week, always after their overnight shifts. Always the same route. Always drops her off without issue. Perfect gentleman. Jessica starts to trust him, considers him a friend, work buddy, someone looking out for her in a new town where she doesn't know anyone else. But Marcus is doing something else. He's learning her routine, where she lives, what time Emma goes to daycare, when the babysitter drops Emma off, when Jessica is home alone. He's studying her, memorizing her, preparing. Detectives later recovered Marcus's journal from his apartment, a black notebook with a worn cover hidden in the bottom drawer of his nightstand. March through November 2024, 47 entries, all about Jessica. Let me read you a few. March 15th, drove her home again today. She smiled at me when I dropped her off. A real smile, not the polite kind, the kind that reaches your eyes. She trusts me now. I can feel it. May 22nd. Jessica called me her work husband tonight. She was joking around with the other waitresses, and she said it. My work husband, Marcus, always takes care of me. She didn't know I was listening from the kitchen, but I heard. I think she meant it. I think she feels it too. August 3rd. Jessica hugged me goodbye after our shift tonight. A full hug, not a side hug. She put both arms around me and held on for 4 seconds. I counted. 4 seconds. That means something. October 9th. I told Jessica she's beautiful tonight. Just said it casually while she was getting coffee. "You look beautiful, Jess." She laughed and said, "Oh, stop it, Marcus." But she didn't say stop. She was flattered. I could tell. The entries escalate, get longer, more detailed, more possessive. By October, Marcus isn't writing about friendship anymore. He's writing fantasies, imagining scenarios, conversations that never happened, moments that existed only in his mind. And then, October 28th, 2024. The entry that detectives will present in court as evidence of premeditation. She needs to understand how I feel. I've been patient, I've been kind, I've done everything right. If she rejects me, if she chooses to walk away after everything I've done for her, then I'll make sure no one else gets her either. That's when infatuation became obsession, when obsession became rage, when a lonely man convinced himself that kindness equaled love and rejection equaled betrayal. November 19th, 2024. 3 days before the murder, Marcus makes a decision. He's going to tell Jessica how he feels. He's convinced himself that she feels the same way. All the rides, all the conversations, all those moments when she smiled at him or thanked him or called him her work husband. In his mind, they're already together. They're already a couple. He just needs to say it out loud, just needs to make it official. November 22nd, 2024. Friday night, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift at Riverside Diner. Jessica and Marcus work together like they have dozens of times before. It's a slow night, only a handful of customers. They clean, talk, the usual routine. Around midnight, Jessica mentions that she's planning to take Emma to the Children's Museum tomorrow afternoon. There's a new dinosaur exhibit, and Emma's been talking about it for weeks. Marcus smiles, asks if he can come. "You'd be bored," Jessica says, laughing. "It's for little kids. Dinosaur facts and interactive displays. Not exactly exciting for adults." Marcus pushes, says he wouldn't be bored, says he'd like to spend time with her outside of work, get to know her better, see where things could go. Jessica stops laughing, realizes what he's implying. The tone shifts, becomes uncomfortable. She tries to let him down gently. "Marcus, you're a great friend," she says carefully, "but I'm not looking for anything like that. You know, I'm focusing on Emma right now. I'm not trying to date or get into a relationship or anything. I hope you understand." Marcus's face changes, hardens. The warmth disappears from his eyes. He doesn't respond, just turns around and walks back into the kitchen without saying another word. Jessica stands there feeling awkward, uncomfortable, guilty, even though she has nothing to feel guilty about. She assumes it'll blow over, that Marcus will cool off and things will go back to normal by the next shift. That's how these things usually go, right? Someone catches feelings. You turn them down politely. It's awkward for a week or two. Then everyone moves on. But Marcus doesn't move on. If you've watched this far, drop a comment saying, "I'm still here." Let's see who's really paying attention. 11:38 p.m. Shift ends. Jessica clocks out, grabs her things, and heads to the parking lot. She pulls out her phone to call a cab. Her car is still broken, and she forgot to arrange another ride. The cab company says it'll be 30 to 40 minutes. Jessica sighs. She's exhausted. It's almost midnight. Emma's with the babysitter, and Jessica promised she'd be home by 12:30 to relieve her. 40 minutes means she'll be late, means paying the babysitter extra, means less money for groceries this week. Marcus walks out of the diner and sees her standing there, phone in hand. "I'll drive you," he says. Jessica freezes. After what happened earlier, after the awkward conversation, she doesn't want to accept, doesn't want to make things weirder than they already are. "That's okay, Marcus," she says, forcing a smile. "I already called a cab. It'll be here soon." "It's 11:40 at night," Marcus says. "Cabs take forever." "Come on. Don't be ridiculous. I'm heading home anyway." Jessica hesitates. Her gut is telling her no, telling her to wait for the cab, telling her that something feels off. But it's cold, dark. She's tired. And Marcus has driven her home dozens of times before without any issues. She's probably overreacting, reading too much into an awkward moment. Marcus is harmless. He's just a lonely guy who misunderstood their friendship. "It'll be fine." "Okay," Jessica says finally. "But just home, straight home." "Of course," Marcus says. They get into his car. Gray 2019 Toyota Camry, cloth seats, smells like coffee and fried food. Nothing remarkable, nothing threatening. What Jessica doesn't know is that Marcus installed a dashboard camera 6 months ago after a minor fender bender in a parking lot. Motion activated, records everything. He never mentioned it to her, never pointed it out. It's just there, silently recording. 11:43 p.m. Marcus starts the car and pulls out of the parking lot. At first, everything seems normal. He's driving the usual route, taking the same roads he always takes. But then, about 2 miles from the diner, Marcus makes a turn. A right instead of a left, onto a side road that Jessica doesn't recognize. "Marcus," Jessica says, sitting up straighter. "This isn't the way." Marcus doesn't answer, doesn't even glance at her. Just keeps driving. "Marcus," halt, Jessica says again, louder this time. "Where are you going?" "This isn't the way to my apartment." Silence. The only sound is the hum of the engine and the tires on the pavement. Jessica's heart starts racing. She reaches for the door handle, thinking maybe she'll just jump out at the next stop sign, get out and walk, call that cab. But when she pulls the handle, nothing happens. The door doesn't open. Child safety locks. Marcus engaged them before she got in. "Marcus, unlock the door," Jessica says, her voice shaking now. "Right now. Unlock the door." Marcus pulls into an empty parking lot behind an abandoned warehouse, a place with no streetlights, no security cameras, no witnesses. He shifts the car into park and shuts off the engine. Jessica yanks on the door handle again. Again. It won't budge. "Marcus, please," she says. "Let me out. I want to go home. Please." Marcus turns to her. His face is calm, terrifyingly calm. "I need you to listen," he says quietly. "No," Jessica says, her voice rising. "Let me out. Let me out right now." "I've been patient," Marcus continues, as if she hasn't spoken. "I've been kind. I've done everything for you, driven you home, made you food, looked out for you, and you treat me like I'm nothing, like I don't matter." Jessica reaches for her phone, but Marcus is faster. He grabs her wrist and twists it hard. She cries out. The phone slips from her hand and falls between the seats. "You're not calling anyone," Marcus says. From the back seat, Marcus pulls out a length of yellow nylon rope, pre-cut, already measured. He'd been planning this. Jessica screams, fights, tries to hit him, tries to kick him. But Marcus is 6 feet 1 inch tall and weighs 210 pounds. Jessica is 5 feet 4 inches and weighs 120 pounds. He overpowers her in seconds, pulls her arms behind the seat, wraps the rope around her wrists, pulls it tight. So tight it cuts into her skin and leaves deep red marks that the medical examiner will photograph 2 days later. Jessica is sobbing now, hyperventilating. "Please," she begs. "Please, Marcus. I have a daughter. Please don't do this, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I didn't mean to. Please." Marcus doesn't respond, just ties the final knot and leans back. 11:47 p.m. The dashboard camera is still recording. The footage shows Jessica in the passenger seat, hands tied behind her back with yellow rope. Tears are streaming down her face, catching the faint glow from the dashboard lights. She's turning her head away from Marcus, pressing her cheek against the cold glass of the passenger window, trying to create distance, trying to escape even though there's nowhere to go. Marcus is in the driver's seat, leaning toward her. Slowly, deliberately, moving from the left side closer to her neck. His right hand grips her shoulder, holding her in place. She flinches, tries to pull away, but the rope prevents it. She's trapped, completely helpless. You can see her mouth moving in the footage. She's saying something. Detectives will later hire a professional lip reader to analyze the video frame by frame. The lip reader's report states that Jessica is saying, "Please don't kill me. Please, I'm sorry." Over and over. "Please don't kill me. Please, I'm sorry." At 11:49 p.m., the screen goes black. The camera's battery died. Motion-activated cameras only record for a limited time before they need to recharge. We don't know exactly what happened in the next 12 minutes. The footage doesn't show it. There are no witnesses, no audio. But here's what we do know. 12:01 a.m. A gas station security camera 9 miles away captures Marcus's gray Toyota Camry driving past, heading west toward Route 9. The woods, an isolated area where hunters sometimes go during deer season, but otherwise remains empty for months at a time. 12:14 a.m. Marcus's cell phone pings off a tower near the woods. The phone stays in that location for 18 minutes. Doesn't move. 12:32 a.m. The phone pings again, this time heading back toward town. Somewhere in those 18 minutes, Marcus Brandt strangled Jessica Morales to death. He used his hands, left bruises on her neck in the shape of his thumbs and fingers. He left her body in the woods, half buried under a pile of wet leaves and broken branches, thinking no one would find her for weeks, maybe months, maybe ever. Then he drove home, parked his car in the driveway, walked inside, took a shower, washed Jessica's DNA off his hands and arms and clothes, put everything in the washing machine, and went to bed. He set his alarm for 9:30 a.m. because he had a shift at the diner the next day at 10, and he didn't want to be late. November 23rd, 2024, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Marcus Brandt walks into Riverside Diner and clocks in for his shift like nothing happened. Acts completely normal. Makes eggs, flips pancakes, wipes down the grill. Carol, the manager, walks over around 10:15. "Hey, Marcus," she says, "have you seen Jessica? She was supposed to be here at 10. No show, no call. That's not like her." Marcus shrugs, shakes his head. "No idea," he says. "I dropped her off at her apartment last night after our shift. She seemed fine. Tired, but fine." Carol frowns, pulls out her phone and tries calling Jessica. It goes straight to voicemail. She tries again. Voicemail. She calls Jessica's emergency contact, the babysitter. The babysitter answers on the first ring, and her voice is frantic. "Thank God," she says. "Have you heard from Jessica? She never came home last night. She was supposed to pick up Emma by 12:30 and she never showed up. I've been calling and calling. Her phone is off. I don't know what to do. I have Emma here and I don't know where Jessica is." Carol's stomach drops. She tells the babysitter to stay calm, says she'll make some calls, hangs up and immediately dials 911, reports Jessica Morales as a missing person. Last seen leaving Riverside Diner at approximately 11:40 p.m. on November 22nd, 11:47 a.m. A missing person report is officially filed with the Riverside Police Department. Detective Sarah Lynn is assigned to the case. She's a 12-year veteran of the department, specializes in missing persons. She arrives at Riverside Diner around 1 p.m. and starts interviewing the staff. Everyone says the same thing. Jessica was a good worker, reliable, kind, a dedicated mom. No enemies, no drama, no reason to just disappear. And everyone mentions that Marcus gave her rides home. Detective Lynn asks to speak with Marcus privately. He agrees immediately. Seems calm, cooperative, concerned even. Detective Lynn asks him to walk her through the previous night. Marcus explains that he and Jessica worked the overnight shift together, finished around 11:30 p.m. Jessica's car was broken, so he offered to drive her home like he'd done many times before. He dropped her off at her apartment building around 11:55 p.m., watched her walk inside. Then he drove home himself. That was the last time he saw her. Detective Lynn studies him carefully, watches his body language, his facial expressions, looking for signs of deception, nervousness, guilt. But Marcus appears genuine, worried even. He asks if there's anything he can do to help, if they need him to drive around and look for her, if they want him to call her phone. Detective Lynn thanks him and says they'll be in touch if they need anything else. Then she asks one more question. Can we take a look at your car? Just routine. We're checking everyone's vehicles who had contact with Jessica last night. Marcus hesitates, just for half a second, so brief that most people wouldn't notice. But Detective Lynn notices. Sure, Marcus says. Of course, whatever helps. They walk out to the parking lot. Marcus unlocks his gray Toyota Camry. Detective Lynn walks around it slowly, peers through the windows, checks the back seat, the trunk. Everything looks clean, normal. Then she spots the dashboard camera. Does this work? She asks, pointing to the small black device mounted near the rearview mirror. Marcus nods. Yeah, he says. It's motion activated. I got it a few months ago after someone hit my car in a parking lot and drove off, just for insurance purposes. Can we review the footage? Detective Lynn asks. Marcus's jaw tightens, just slightly. Another half-second hesitation. Then he reaches over and pops open the compartment where the camera stores the SD card, pulls it out, hands it to Detective Lynn. Sure, he says. Take a look. Detective Lynn thanks him, says someone will return it once they've reviewed it. Marcus nods, says that's fine. But his hands are shaking, just slightly. Detective Lynn notices that too. She takes the SD card back to the police station, plugs it into a computer, pulls up the files from November 22nd, and there it is, 2 minutes and 14 seconds of footage starting at 11:47 p.m. Jessica Morales in the passenger seat, hands tied with yellow rope, crying, begging. Marcus leaning toward her. The camera cuts off at 11:49 p.m., but it's enough, more than enough. An arrest warrant is issued within the hour, 7:34 p.m. Police arrive at Marcus Brandt's apartment. He answers the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, eating a bowl of cereal and watching television. Marcus Brandt, an officer, says, "You're under arrest for the kidnapping of Jessica Morales." Marcus doesn't resist, doesn't run, just sets down the bowl of cereal, puts his hands behind his back, and lets them cuff him. Detectives execute a search warrant on his apartment. They find the journal, 47 entries about Jessica. They find another length of yellow nylon rope in the hall closet. Same brand, same color. They find Jessica's cell phone, smashed to pieces, hidden in a drawer in the kitchen. November 24th, 2024, 6:14 a.m. A jogger running through the woods off Route 9 notices something strange, a pile of leaves that looks disturbed, unnatural. He stops, moves closer, sees a hand sticking out from under the leaves. He calls 911. Police arrive, carefully remove the leaves. And there she is, Jessica Morales, still wearing her white waitress uniform, hands still bound with yellow rope. The medical examiner confirms she died from strangulation. Ligature marks around her neck, bruising consistent with manual strangulation. Defensive wounds on her arms where she tried to fight back. Fibers under her fingernails that match Marcus's jacket. A murder charge is added to Marcus Brandt's arrest warrant. If you're still here, comment "Justice for Jessica." Let's make sure her story isn't forgotten. March 2025. The trial begins. Marcus Brandt pleads not guilty. His defense attorney argues that the relationship between Marcus and Jessica was consensual, that they were romantically involved, that Jessica attacked Marcus first in the car, and he acted in self-defense. The prosecution presents the dashboard camera footage, the journal with 47 entries documenting Marcus's obsession, the yellow rope, the smashed phone, testimony from co-workers who describe Marcus as helpful but odd. They bring in the 9 former waitresses who quit because Marcus made them uncomfortable. Each one testifies about the same pattern of behavior, standing too close, staring, offering rides, using overly familiar language. Then the defense calls a surprise witness, a former waitress named Lauren who worked at Riverside Diner 3 years ago. She testifies that she warned Jessica about Marcus, told her to be careful, told her that Marcus had a history of making female employees uncomfortable. And according to Lauren, Jessica said she could handle it, said Marcus was harmless. The defense tries to use this to argue that Jessica knew the risk, that she willingly accepted rides from Marcus despite being warned, that she led him on. The prosecution destroys this argument. They bring in 8 other former waitresses who all testified that they reported Marcus to management multiple times over the course of 7 years. And nothing was done. No disciplinary action, no investigation, no warning. The restaurant knew Marcus was dangerous, and they did nothing. The jury deliberates for 6 hours, April 14th, 2025. The verdict: guilty on all counts, first-degree murder, kidnapping, premeditation. Marcus Brandt is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He shows no emotion when the sentence is read, doesn't cry, doesn't apologize, just stares straight ahead. Jessica's mother reads a victim impact statement in court. She holds a photo of 3-year-old Emma, who still asks when mommy is coming home. "My daughter trusted you," she says, her voice shaking. "She thought you were her friend. You used that trust to destroy her, to destroy our family. Emma will grow up without her mother because of you, because you couldn't accept the word no." Here's what makes this case truly terrifying. Jessica did everything right. She was polite, professional. She set boundaries clearly and respectfully when Marcus expressed interest in her. She said no. She tried to decline the ride that night. She didn't lead him on. She didn't give him false hope. She treated him exactly the way you're supposed to treat a coworker who misreads a friendship as something more. And it didn't matter, because Marcus didn't see her as a person with her own thoughts and feelings and autonomy. He saw her as something he deserved, something he earned through acts of kindness that he kept a running tally of in his mind. After the trial, investigators reviewed Marcus's personal computer. They found internet searches dating back 2 years before Jessica even started working at Riverside Diner. Searches for how to make someone disappear. How long does it take for a body to decompose in the woods? Do dashboard cameras record audio? He'd been planning something like this for years. Jessica wasn't the target. She was just there, just the person who happened to be working overnight shifts when Marcus decided it was time to act, which means any one of those 14 waitresses who worked with him over the years could have been in that car. Any one of them could have been the one tied up with yellow rope, begging for her life while a camera recorded her last moments. Jessica's only mistake was being kind to the wrong person. Jessica's last moment of freedom was 11:43 p.m. on November 22nd, 2024. Getting into a car with someone she thought was safe, someone she thought was a friend. She had 6 minutes before she realized her mistake. 6 minutes before Marcus took that wrong turn, and by then it was too late. The doors were locked, the rope was ready, and there was no way out. She deserved so much better. Emma deserved to grow up with her mother, and every single person who reported Marcus over the years, who tried to warn management, who quit because they felt unsafe, deserves to know that their instincts were right, that they weren't being dramatic or paranoid or oversensitive. They were right. So here's my question for you. Was justice really served? Marcus got life in prison, but Jessica's gone. Emma will never see her mother again. And Riverside Diner, still operating, still hiring overnight staff, still putting young women in the exact same situation that led to Jessica's death. If you believe employers should protect their workers, hit that like button. If you believe people like Marcus shouldn't be able to hide behind the word harmless, share this video. And if you think we owe it to Jessica to remember her story and learn from it, drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done differently? How do we protect people from predators who never show their true face until it's too late? If this story affected you, if it made you think twice about who you trust, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Send it to your sister, your daughter, your coworker who works late shifts and accepts rides from people she barely knows. Because the warning signs aren't always obvious. Sometimes they're hidden in small gestures, in someone standing too close, in someone watching too long, in someone offering help that feels just slightly off. And if you thought this case was disturbing, wait until you hear about the babysitter who recorded everything and disappeared the next day. That story is coming next week. If you can't stand people who abuse positions of trust, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Jessica's story ends here, but the lesson doesn't. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and never ignore that feeling in your gut that tells you something isn't right, because sometimes that feeling is the only warning you'll get.